earthquake so strong it literally shifted the Earth's axis by about 25 centimeters. It all started at the epicenter near Sendai, 230 miles northeast.
Japan has been trembling far more than usual lately, and the sudden surge is raising serious alarms. For years, scientists have whispered about a giant quake lurking deep beneath the country. Now, after a wave of strange, powerful tremors, something feels different. The patterns don't match history. The signals are sharper, heavier, almost like the ground is trying to speak. Could it be that another megaquake is about to unfold? The catastrophe that hit Japan. On March 2011, the earth beneath Japan changed forever. Off the country's northeast coast, a section of the seafloor suddenly tore open with unbelievable force. What followed was a magnitude 9.0 earthquake, the strongest Japan had ever recorded. The shaking lasted about 6 minutes, but the real destruction was beginning. The violent movement of the Pacific Plate shoved a huge amount of water upward, creating giant tsunami waves that raced toward the shoreline. Entire towns were leveled. Cars, homes, boats, and roads disappeared under the water, and the chain of disasters that followed would shape Japan for decades. But behind the tragedy that the world saw on the news, something deeper and far more mysterious was happening. Scientists studying the earthquake soon realized this wasn't just a big quake. It was a complete break in the normal rules of geology. The Tohoku earthquake didn't just shake buildings. It actually changed the structure of the Earth around Japan. The country moved almost 8 feet closer to North America. The axis of the Earth shifted slightly, and deep inside the fault system, something silent and strange began. A change scientists are still trying to understand. The first hints of trouble appeared at 2:46 p.m. Japan's seismic alarms caught an unusual vibration rolling across the ocean floor. Within seconds, the warning systems lit up across the country. But the computers hesitated. The early warning algorithms had never seen signals this large so quickly. The system assumed the earthquake was smaller than it actually was, because it wasn't designed for something this extreme. So when warnings went out, they underestimated everything: the strength of the quake, the height of the tsunami, and the danger heading toward the shore. In many towns, the alarm sounded only moments before the water arrived. In some places, power lines fell before people could hear anything at all. Even where sirens worked perfectly, the roar of the earthquake drowned them out. In minutes, and in some communities, in seconds, the ocean came rushing in with unstoppable force. Seawalls built to handle the worst possible events were simply erased. This was the moment Japan realized something terrifying. The disaster they had prepared for was nothing like the disaster that actually came. While chaos unfolded on land, something even more astonishing was happening deep under the Pacific. The fault responsible for the earthquake didn't break the way scientists expected. Instead of one section snapping, multiple fault segments ruptured one after another in a chain reaction. The movement was extreme. Parts of the seafloor shot upward and sideways by as much as 50 meters, farther than scientists ever thought possible in a single earthquake. Real-time GPS on the ocean floor captured the rupture spreading like a lightning bolt, north, south, and west, much faster than predicted. Even more shocking, the shallowest part of the fault, which researchers thought would barely move, was the section that slipped the most. This massive shallow slip is what launched the tsunami into the air with such violent speed and height. When scientists pieced the data back together, they had to face something uncomfortable. This quake didn't play by the usual script. It stepped outside every pattern they thought they understood about massive earthquakes. But once the dust settled, a new mystery opened up. What exactly did experts uncover in the aftermath? And what did this single event reveal about the planet that no one expected? A discovery beneath the ocean floor. In 2012, Japan sent a drilling ship called the Chikyu to the exact fault that caused the disaster. The mission, known as J-FAST, aimed to collect samples from the rupture zone itself. What they found became one of the most important discoveries in modern earthquake science. Deep inside the core samples was a thin layer of gray clay, only a few meters thick. But this clay was unlike normal rock. It had extremely low friction, almost slippery. During the quake, the sliding plates heated this clay to nearly 700 degrees Celsius, hot enough to vaporize water trapped inside it. This caused a rapid rise in pressure, lowering the friction even more. In that moment, the fault behaved less like solid rock and more like glass or ice, smooth, weak, and ready to slide. This finding stunned scientists across the globe. It revealed that certain fault lines, especially those made of hidden weak materials like this clay, could slip with far greater force than previously imagined. If such a powerful shift could occur in Japan, where else might it strike? As these questions linger, the aftermath of the disaster continued to unfold, triggering a series of unusual events, surviving the aftershocks. For most earthquakes, aftershocks gradually fade. The ground shakes a little more, and then life slowly returns to normal. But after the Tohoku earthquake, things were different. Across the Pacific Ring of Fire, seismologists noticed something unusual. Over the decade that followed, the number of strong earthquakes, magnitude 6 and above, spiked dramatically. In some regions, the activity was nearly 3 times higher than expected. From Alaska's Aleutian Islands to the trenches off Chile, previously quiet fault zones suddenly awakened. This doesn't mean Japan's quake directly caused all these events, but it does reveal an important truth. A megaquake can redistribute stress across huge distances, slowly transferring pressure to other faults. One area that worries scientists most is the Nankai Trough, south of Tokyo. Current estimates suggest there is a 70% chance that a magnitude 8 or 9 earthquake could strike there within the next 30 years, an event that would dwarf nearly every modern disaster in Japan's history. Many experts now view the Tohoku earthquake not as a single catastrophe, but as a warning, a glimpse of what the Earth's powerful faults are capable of. Even years later, the human toll remains profound. More than 200,000 people still live in temporary housing or have permanently relocated. Entire towns struggle to recover their sense of community. Children startle at sounds that resemble distant waves, and elderly residents refuse to sleep near windows facing the ocean. The psychological scars run deep. Economically, the damage surpassed $300 billion, making it the most expensive natural disaster in history. But the emotional cost, though harder to measure, is even heavier. The aftershocks themselves have been relentless. Japan experienced over 1,000 aftershocks since the main quake, with 80 registering above magnitude 6 and several even exceeding magnitude 7. On the day of the disaster alone, multiple tremors shook the region, and within a month, a major 7.1 magnitude aftershock struck offshore near Sendai, causing at least 4 deaths and cutting electricity across northern Japan, including to nuclear facilities. Only 4 days later, another one of the same magnitude tremors hit Fukushima, adding more damage and claiming additional lives. Powerful aftershocks persisted for years, and even a decade later, in February 2021, the earthquake hit off the coast of Sendai, claiming 1 life and injuring nearly 200 people. These ongoing tremors remind Japan that the earth beneath it remains restless. The continuing activity did more than shake buildings. Aftershocks repeatedly disrupted rescue and recovery efforts, destabilizing structures already damaged by the main quake and compounding the psychological stress on survivors. Hospitals and temporary shelters faced repeated challenges. The Fukushima nuclear disaster, triggered by the main quake, was also affected by aftershocks, which caused additional strain on the already crippled cooling systems and infrastructure. Geologically, aftershocks revealed the complex nature of fault movements. The activity didn't just occur along the main subduction zone. Tremors frequently appeared in the overlying landward plate, showing that the Tohoku quake had changed stress patterns over a wide area. Scientists realized that the rate of aftershocks gradually decreased over the years, but even a decade later, activity remained far higher than the former levels, highlighting that the earthquake had set off long-lasting changes beneath the Pacific. As nature continued to react, humans also sprang into action. Japan mounted a huge, coordinated response to the disaster. Prime Minister Kan promptly set up an emergency operations center, and 100,000 members of the self-defense forces were sent to the hardest-hit areas. Help poured in from around the world, including the United States, Australia, and South Korea, along with support from organizations like the Red Cross. Specialized medical teams, called Disaster Medical Assistance Teams, raced to reach isolated hospitals, saving hundreds of lives. The early response, however, faced significant hurdles. Coordination between government ministries was initially weak, with agencies often acting on their own. Over time, prefectural coordination committees were set up to streamline efforts. The military, local authorities, and international teams joined forces to search for survivors, deliver medical care, and start the long process of rebuilding communities. Even now, as Japan continues to recover, the shadow of another disaster looms. The question remains, will the country be caught off guard again, or are they ready for whatever happens next? Preparing for the unknown. More than a decade after the Tohoku earthquake, scientists in Japan are still studying the rupture, not because they are afraid, but because they must. What happened that day revealed a truth about the planet's most powerful faults. Some faults can slip far more violently and suddenly than any textbook ever suggested. The Tohoku disaster forced researchers around the world to rethink how earthquakes behave, from California to Indonesia. It changed evacuation strategies, revolutionized tsunami forecasting, and led to a complete overhaul of Japan's early warning systems. But perhaps the most important lesson of all is a simple, humbling one. The Earth's most dangerous forces rarely show their full strength until the moment they break. Scientists still debate whether Tohoku was a once-in-a-millennium event or the first sign of a new era of megaquakes around the Pacific Rim. The truth is, no one knows. What they do know is that somewhere, deep beneath the ocean floor, the next great rupture is already building in silence. And when it finally occurs, humanity will once again witness the raw power of the Earth. Japan has not been passive in the face of this danger. The country now stands at the frontier of earthquake preparedness, leading the world in monitoring, warning systems, and disaster readiness. In recent years, scientists issued what is known as a Megaquake advisory. This warning is part of a system designed to alert the public about the long-anticipated Nankai Trough Megaquake, which has a 60 to 90% chance of occurring within the next 30 years. It's important to understand what this advisory means. The warning does not predict exactly when or where the next quake will strike. It does not assign a date, a specific magnitude, or a precise location. Instead, it signals that the risk of a major earthquake has risen and that the public should prepare for the possibility of a catastrophic event. Recent seismic activity prompted the latest advisory, including a magnitude 7.5 earthquake on December 8, 2025. Scientists want to make sure people are ready, especially after the Tohoku earthquake, which was preceded by a magnitude 7.24 shock 2 days earlier, an early warning that largely went unheeded. The advisory itself is a tool of preparation and caution. In the immediate term, the risk of a full-scale Nankai Trough quake is low. Statistically, the chance of a magnitude 8 or larger within a week of the advisory is around 1%. But the consequences of such an event would be enormous. The long-term risk, however, is high. Japan faces the reality that a massive earthquake could strike within the next 3 decades, and authorities are using this advisory to urge citizens to act before disaster strikes. The potential impact of a Nankai Trough earthquake is staggering. Government estimates suggest that, in a worst-case scenario, fatalities could reach nearly 300,000, mostly due to tsunamis hitting coastal areas. Waves could surge higher than 98 feet, reaching cities and towns within minutes. Infrastructure would be devastated. Over 2 million buildings could be destroyed, and the economic damage could surpass 200 trillion yen. In other words, the scale of destruction could rival or exceed the Tohoku disaster, making preparation a matter of life and death. Japan has learned many lessons from past disasters, and officials are now urging the public to treat the advisory as a serious wake-up call. Preparation starts at home. Authorities recommend keeping emergency kits stocked with essentials like food, water, and first aid supplies. Families are advised to review evacuation routes and discuss plans together so that everyone knows where to go and what to do. Simple precautions, like securing furniture to walls or floors, can prevent injuries during strong shaking. Staying informed is equally important. Official updates from the Japan Meteorological Agency provide the most accurate and reliable information during a crisis. The science behind these warnings is constantly evolving. The earthquake early warning system in Japan, which uses thousands of seismometers across the country, can detect the first P waves from a quake and send alerts in seconds. These alerts can save lives by giving people even 30 seconds or more to brace for impact, slow trains, and take cover. But as history has shown, no system is perfect. Large events like Tohoku or overlapping aftershocks can sometimes overwhelm sensors, underestimate intensity, or fail to trigger warnings in certain areas. After each disaster, scientists analyze the data, improve algorithms, and strengthen monitoring networks to reduce gaps in coverage and improve public safety. Japan's focus on preparedness extends far beyond technology. The nation has invested heavily in education and training, ensuring that communities are not just reactive, but proactive. Schools regularly conduct earthquake and tsunami drills, teaching children to move quickly and safely. Entire towns have been rebuilt on higher ground, and coastal defenses have been redesigned to work with natural landscapes instead of simply trying to hold back the sea. The combination of human planning, advanced technology, and structural resilience has created a model for earthquake preparedness that other countries now study closely. Despite all this, scientists caution that the next megaquake could still arrive without warning. Earthquakes are complex, and even the most advanced models cannot predict exactly when or where the next rupture will occur. What is certain is that the Pacific Rim remains a zone of immense geological stress, where massive earthquakes are not a question of if, but when. Japan's history, combined with modern monitoring and preparation, offers lessons for the world. The most powerful forces on Earth reveal themselves suddenly, and humanity must be ready to respond quickly and effectively. It's been 13 years since Tohoku, yet the impact of that disaster is still visible across Japan. The tragedy didn't just shake the ground, it shook the way scientists study faults, how governments plan for emergencies, and how everyday people prepare for the unexpected. These lessons aren't abstract theories, they save lives. From anchoring furniture at home to the sprawling network of seismometers hidden beneath the ocean, Japan has built a system of resilience that the world watches in awe. But Tohoku did more than teach practical lessons. It awakened something in Japan that no one outside could fully measure. How did this disaster transform the nation's approach to preparation and survival? And what does the world still have to learn from the ripples it left behind? The awakening. Today, Japan has become a global leader in earthquake science, turning past tragedy into lessons for the future. Instead of succumbing to fear after the devastating Tohoku earthquake, the nation embraced innovation and resilience. Entire towns that were once vulnerable to tsunamis have been rebuilt on higher ground, offering residents safer living spaces. Along the coast, massive tsunami barriers now stretch for miles. Unlike traditional walls that merely try to block the water, these structures are designed to work with natural forces, slowing waves and reducing damage while minimizing disruption to the environment. Communities have embraced a mindset where every individual knows their role in surviving natural disasters, from school children to the elderly. Technology has also transformed Japan's approach. Sensors installed on the ocean floor monitor seismic activity in real time, feeding data directly to scientists and emergency authorities. These sensors can detect even subtle shifts in the Earth's crust, providing early warning signs that could save countless lives. Artificial intelligence is being used to analyze tremors, spotting patterns that human experts might overlook. The goal is not only to predict earthquakes more accurately, but to deliver faster, clearer warnings tailored to each neighborhood. No longer is disaster preparation a one-size-fits-all approach. Now it's precise, data-driven, and adaptive. Japan realized that the Earth doesn't always play by human rules. Faults can slip in ways that challenge even the most sophisticated models, and natural forces can strike unexpectedly. But what sets Japan apart is its response. The country hasn't just reacted, it has adapted. By combining science, education, and infrastructure, Japan is striving to reduce risk while maintaining daily life. The country's approach illustrates a broader principle. Humans cannot control the planet, but they can learn to live with it more safely. Yet, uncertainty remains. Scientists continue to debate whether the Tohoku earthquake was a rare event or the start of a new cycle of megaquakes around the Pacific Rim. While no one can answer that definitively, all agree on one point: pressure continues to build beneath the ocean floor, and eventually it will be released. The question for Japan and the world is whether society will be ready when that moment comes. But beyond science and safety, the ripples teach something deeper: how humans face the unimaginable. They show courage, compassion, and resilience. They remind us that disasters aren't just about destruction. They are opportunities to grow stronger, wiser, and more connected. The world still has much to learn from these lessons, because the Earth never stops moving, and every ripple carries a warning, a guide, and a hope for tomorrow. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and also click the next video shown on your screen.